A little extra something now on Anglia for all those in need of horticultural help.
Hello again, a few more tips on your houseplants. A bromeliad today, rather a beautiful one. Just look at this specimen here. This is sometimes called the cartwheel bromeliad or the blushing bride bromeliad. It's got an absolutely terrible name, Neregelia Carolina tricolor perfecta. Terribly long name, but if you can just remember the cartwheel bromeliad, then that's what people will know it as in the shops. I think it's a terrible shame. It's an underrated plant because it's a misunderstood plant. The centre there is actually the flower. Now this plant comes from Brazil, so it gives an idea of the sort of climate it likes. And it's a plant that takes about 3 years to reach flowering size. That is the actual flower down in the centre there. And once it's flowered, the main rosette dies, typical of so many of the bromeliads. Let me just show you one that's actually just about finished flowering. This one I was just having a look at the start there. You can see there 2 of the urns that actually finished there. And what's now happening, we're getting these offsets coming up the side. And after flowering, once the offsets have started to grow quite rapidly, then we take them off and pop them up. But let's take you through buying one to start with. If I was buying one, I'd make sure the tips of the leaves are all in good condition. No brown edges to the leaves, else reject the plant. Make sure that the urn has always been kept full, so there's no sort of scorch marks around it round there. One that looks happy. Take it home and give it a fairly bright position. It's used to being in fairly bright sunlight. Temperature, well, if you keep it dry in the winter, 50. 55 if you can manage it, give it a little more water. During the summer, 65, 70, quite happy. If it gets above 75, then the air's got to be very humid for it, very humid indeed. So it's a case of going out with a little mister quite regularly and giving the old mist to keep it nice and humid. Perhaps 2 or 3 times a week during the summer, perhaps only once a fortnight or so during the winter. Feeding, now that is a good point. I've got a little bottle of plant food there. Now I would suggest only about 1/8 strength. Now remember, this is a plant that in the wild would collect insects, etc., that would rot down in the middle of the urn there. And the plant would derive its nutrients from the rotting insect bodies and the vegetation. So we actually pour our 1/8 strength fertiliser into there. That urn wants filling up once a week with water. The end of the week, then take the urn and actually pour any water out. You see there's a little drop came out there. Fill it up again, give it nice fresh, if possible, rainwater. If not, certainly use tepid room water. You can see there if I tilt that slightly, it's beginning to run out now. That's about the right sort of level for it. And then just keep the compost just moist during the summer and nearly dry during the winter. So the only feeding goes on in the centre of the rosette there. It's one of those that's very sensitive to aerosols. Watch your furniture aerosols. Don't use any leaf shines. If the leaf becomes dirty and the regular spraying doesn't keep it clean, then handle them very carefully because the edge of the leaf has got like a razor-sharp hook on. And then just give it a wipe with a damp cloth, very gently supporting it with the other hand. If it rots at the base, it's telling you she's too wet. If it starts to go limp, it's telling you it's too dry. So it's a fairly easy one. There's very few pests and diseases attack it. The only thing you need to remember to do, as I say, is after flowering, wait till these rosettes get quite large. Knock it out of the pot. Let's just have a look at this one. These should just about be ready. Try and use a sandy, peaty compost. And let's just have a look there. There's a nice rosette on the side. They can just be pulled off. And you'll be surprised. Another 2 to 3 years, and you're going to end up with another beautiful cartwheel bromeliad to flower. There's the little plant. And you can buy them like that in the shops. They'll take a year or 2 to reach flowering. Or you can buy them at full size like that. It'll cost you double the price. Why not have a go? Find a friend that's got one that's just flowered and pop one up, or go out and buy one. And don't forget, keep putting the feed in the urn and go and look out for the cartwheel bromeliad.